Hi everybody, um, it's Astra, and well, today's just a fun video, you know? It's not going to be deeply political, it's just something that I'm a little tired of seeing because it's really not true. A couple things first I got calico kittens, they're running around the room right now. They're very, very sweet, they might actually come up while I'm filming this video. Um, so yeah, they're kittens. We just got them. This is like kind of their safe room, this office. And the other thing is, I got a haircut. I know it doesn't look like it, but my bangs are now cut, so they're not in my eyes. So, title is Elon Musk is not the world's first trillionaire. Now, what do I mean by that? Right? What does that even mean? Well, first, two reasons. Right? Actually, I'm going to say three reasons. So, number one is when you adjust for inflation. When you adjust for inflation throughout history, there have been um, people that were more kind of wealthy than Elon Musk, right? So you have people like Mansa Musa, some of the emperors in China, for example. Um, so I mean, when you really like, if they were worth U.S. dollars in today's money, it would be they would be trillionaires. They would have been trillionaires already, right? And there's really no fundamental difference. There's no fundamental difference between like it's just it says 1 trillion, but it doesn't actually mean anything if it's the same worth, right? 1 trillion U.S. dollars. The other thing that I want people to understand is that this is based off, so this is point two, this is based off US dollars. Now, I know US dollars is a powerful currency, and other currencies are actually, I think like the Chinese currency, for example, is tied to the US dollar. So if the US dollar goes down, the Chinese yuan goes down. If it goes up, the Chinese yuan goes up. So it is a powerful currency. It's probably like the most influential currency, although it's not. Well, it's not the most powerful. I think the most powerful is like the euro, but it's like the most influential currency, and it's what everyone uses for millionaires, billionaires, and now trillionaires, right, with Elon Musk. But the thing is that if we're just based going off this 1 trillion figure, and we're going to discount all of the other trillionaires in history that controlled a major part of the GDP of an empire, or just insane amounts of wealth. Rockefeller, for example, was worth almost 1 trillion back in his day. Um, what I mean, then, then it doesn't matter what currency you use. I could say that I'm a quadrillionaire in Zimbabwe dollars, right? Or whatever country you want to use that's hyperinflated, right? Because if we're going to discount these other figures that had $200 billion or whatever at their time, or $2 million that's equal to 1 trillion today, then and it's just that number with the number zeros, then I could just say that about Zimbabwe or Venezuela or whatever country that has hyperinflation, right? So I want those 2 points, right? So it's based on US dollars, which doesn't fundamentally mean anything, right? There's nothing that makes the US dollar particularly special, right? I mean, it is one of the most powerful, definitely the most influential, but there's nothing necessarily that makes it the only like kind of thing that we can use, the only metric that we can use. There are other very powerful currencies, very, you know, that have lesser or more worth or whatever. And then the third point that I want to make is things that we don't even think about. So, for example, world leaders, right? In certain circumstances, world leaders, especially more, I would say really any world leader, despite of the constitution they have, because let's be honest, any country, if they want something, they'll take it, right? It doesn't matter what rights or protections or anything, they will. So really any sort of leader of a country, a major country, if they want a house across the street or something, a house, then they'll just take it, or they'll cover it up, right, with like documentation and everything like that as part of corruption, right? And so if every single asset that's tangible, or even when you consider like people's bank accounts that are digital, that the government can seize, that leaders can seize. Again, I mean, like in some countries this would be highly illegal, but if push came to shove, like the United States, right? And it's also against the law for like the president to use your personal money for his or her their benefit. We haven't had a female president, but you get it, right? But if push came to shove, they absolutely could, and especially any kind of autocratic leader could. So what makes this house that I'm in not part of their total assets? What makes anybody's property or anybody's business, or they own it? They actually own it. So in a sense, they are trillionaires, and they were trillionaires before Elon Musk came into the picture. If you can, hi, this is one of my calico kittens. Say hi to the camera. Probably held her a bit weird, but that's basically all I'm saying, right? When you even consider things like militaries, for example, if you have a military, the U.S. military is almost $1 trillion alone, and the president is the commander in chief of the military, and so that by itself would be a net worth of almost $1 trillion. That's all I'm basically saying, right? Is this whole hype is bullshit. Anyways, that's all. Goodbye.